Hey everybody.
Hi there.
This is part 3 of our stay when we were in Boonesborough and visiting the surrounding area. Hope you enjoy it.
If you all didn't know there was so much stuff to see and do in Lexington, there definitely is. It is a place with a lot going on.
That's right. It's a great place to visit, and I hope you enjoy it. See ya.
Bye. Hi, I'm Sandy.
And I'm Ed.
And this is General, our totally awesome water dog.
We used to live on the Outer Banks in North Carolina, but one day we found both of ourselves unemployed.
So we decided to take a chance. We sold everything, bought a trailer, and left to explore America. We're learning as we go along, but we still make mistakes.
But we get a lot of things right too. So come join us as we learn to RV full-time, explore America, and share in our exciting journey of discovery.
Our next adventure is just over the hills. We went up to the town of Georgetown, Kentucky, which is just a little ways north of Lexington, and we had the intention of visiting Ward Hall, which would have been really awesome because it's known as the most elaborate of the mansions that you can tour. But as usual, since we were unprepared for the trip, we didn't realize until we got there that Ward Hall is only open one weekend a month, and it was not going to be a weekend that we were going to be in town, so we wouldn't be able to see it. But we did, since we were in the neighborhood, we did decide to take a little tour through downtown Georgetown, and we got some pictures of some old buildings and old houses, and it is an awesome, awesome little town. Highly recommended. Really neat town.
So we are in Lexington, Kentucky. We ran up there about 30 minutes from our campsite to pick up some business cards. Took General to a dog park. And now we are heading to find Skyline Chili. There's a little bit of a story there. It was years ago in a grocery store on the Outer Banks in the frozen food section. I spotted a thing called Skyline Chili, which looked like chili over spaghetti. And living on the Outer Banks, we're somewhat sheltered. Never heard of such a thing. We spotted the Skyline Chili restaurant during our stay here, and so we're off to check it out and see what lunch is like. Okay, so we found it, and let's go check it out. Okay, we have arrived at Skyline Chili. So the quest is it better than the frozen version? I'm hoping so. So the verdict is in, and it was and is delicious. Just short beats a frozen version. Highly recommended if you like chili.
So we learned something really interesting while we were in Kentucky. We were seeing all these black barns all over the place, and they each seemed to have like a quilt square on the side of them. So we did some checking around, and we did find out that the black barns were actually used way back when to cure tobacco, because the black color of the barns would attract the heat, and it would cure the tobacco faster. So that is the reason for the black barns. And the quilt squares actually started with one lady. She wanted to do a memorial to her mother, who was an avid quilter when her mother passed away. So she had a quilt square made for her house or her barn, I don't remember which. So she had it hanging outside, this quilt square, and somebody in her town said that, wow, that would be a neat thing to do all over town, and they can have like searches for all the quilt squares. You have to find them and stuff like that. So the quilt squares kind of spread throughout her area, and then they spread throughout Kentucky, and we are actually still seeing those quilt squares all over the place in other states. So that's really cool how that started. That is just so awesome, that something like that has been taken by a lot of people and just run with. So that's really cool. Today we're visiting Fort Boonesborough, which is a recreated fort made to resemble where Daniel Boone brought the settlers into Kentucky, and they settled here for a number of years. So this has got some cabins and stuff in it, and they're recreating what life was like on the fort back in the 1700s.
So each one of these is a progression.
Oh, that's right. The first 3 cabins were supposed to be the early days of the fort.
The first one we looked at had a dirt floor. The second one had a wooden floor and had some ways to hang pots around the fireplace. And this one's representing things that actually got brought in by wagon, even as rough as the roads were.
We're in the tavern now. All the notes tacked up on the wall are kind of like postings. So like if you had something for sale, if you needed a worker to help you on your land or something like that. And also if there was something like a legal thing that needed to be posted. So that's what all those signs are on the wall. That was kind of cool.
Once we get it measured, we bring it over here. I usually work in a 36-inch area, so that thread has to go through each opening within that area. Keeps it all in line, helps to pack the threads. weaving is over and under threads, and that's what the harness does. One thread here, another one here, we alternate all of the threads. Each thread has to go through an eye like threading a needle. And when we step on the treadle, one group of threads will go up, one down, change treadles, and it reverses. The warp thread keeps the tension, and the shuttle will take the weft thread back and forth through the shed, one thread at a time.
So this loom is more representative of the 1700s?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen one that old.
Yeah.
This is the spinning cabin. Got a thrasher up there, and a couple of walking wheels and a standard wheel. They had this one cabin set up with a ton of Daniel Boone memorabilia, books, toys, games, everything you can think of. There was a ton of stuff in this little cabin. And this is the woodworking shop. Daniel Boone's life as a land surveyor. That's possibly what his office looked like way back when. There's the back door to the fort. This looks like a pottery shed. Got a bunch of spinning wheels. Racks to dry this stuff on until it's ready to be fired. It's definitely the soap making cabin. You can smell the soap. They have a bunch of it curing over there. Has to cure for about a month, or at least that's what it needed to cure for when I was making it several years ago. And all the stuff that they make here on the grounds, they sell it in the store, and we'll see the store in a little bit here. The medicinal herbs building is locked up, and that's probably the one that I would have really loved to see more than any of the others, but you'll have that. This is the candle making building. So this campground has a creek right in it. So for this week, while we've been here, whenever General goes for a walk, he goes right to the creek. Every single time.
was.
5 or 6 times a day.
It's all good.